Yeah, let's begin
I'll
then.
be here.
They'll be here, and so may I begin by welcoming everyone. This is a very exciting evening to gather for this evening of programming. Um, I can't thank Reverend Pippa enough for loving us into all the work you do in this world, and for coming on to share um, the work that we're doing in Cape Town. Um, so where Pippa is, we are. Um, so thank you, thank you. I did want to mention this will be recorded, and it will be posted on YouTube, folks. So just to be aware, because we'll have open sharing later, so everything will be posted. So your sharing will be as well. But what's great too is for those that might miss today, or for those that you might like to share it with, this will be available to watch at your leisure or yet again. So with that. I just want to thank you all for taking time to be part of this event and this evening. And I'll pass us on to our dear Reverend Pippa.
Thank you, Sonia. And first of all, to say thank you to all of you who've joined us this evening. It's so lovely to see this beautiful sea of faces. Thank you for your time and thank you for your interest in what Sonia and I want to share with you this evening. So, by way of introduction, just to give it a little context, I think that many of you perhaps know snippets of my life, of what I've been sharing over the years that we've been in service together. Um, Despite my accent, I am a deeply closeted American citizen. And I was born in Sacramento, California. And for many of my adult years, I lived in New York City. And that's, of course, where I met Sonia. In fact, Sonia, we met back in 2011, I think. That's that right. So we're now 15 years into our extraordinary friendship and relationship. And we met at seminary, of course, in Manhattan. And after my seminary graduation and studies, I stayed a short time further in New York City, and then I went to Sydney, Australia, where I worked and lived, and also decided, following my seminary studies, to go back to school because I really wanted to deepen the things that I had touched upon in seminary. So I ended up going back as an undergraduate student for a 4 year undergrad bachelor's degree in theology and comparative religious studies. And I did so well in that that my supervisor, the professor that was sort of overseeing my journey, said to me, Pippa, don't stop here, keep going. And he convinced me to embark upon a master's of interfaith studies, which I ended up doing in Amsterdam, of all places. And I was doing swimmingly well until everything screeched to a halt in March 2020 for reasons that I think will be clear to you all. COVID came and our university closed and everything went online. And well, we all know the story. But the reason that I'd chosen this particular master's program is that they'd had a mandatory research and internship part of the degree. And during COVID, my options were becoming increasingly limited as to where I could go and what I could do. Very, very long story short, I had an opportunity that felt like if I didn't take it, I would regret it. You know, those opportunities that come into our lives. I had to make a very snap decision. And the opportunity was to fly down from Amsterdam down to Cape Town in South Africa and do my research and internship there. I was, in fact, the second to last flight in to Cape Town before the president closed the airports again for the second time. So I was actually then trapped in South Africa for 6 months because they weren't going to let me out. And in that 6 months, a number of life-changing events happened, including my chance to get very involved in what's known as CTII, which is the Cape Town Interfaith Initiative. And I'd been doing that for a year when I discovered that they had, as part of the Cape Town Interfaith, they had a youth program which had been running at that time for about 12 years, 11 or 12 years, and they needed someone to lead it. And they tapped me on the shoulder and said, Pippa, you're a teacher and you have been studying interfaith all this time. Do you want to take it on? And I thought, oh, I don't know if I've got the bandwidth for it, but I'll tell you what, I know you need somebody to help out for the immediate future. So by all means, I'll do it, but I'll just do it for a year. And here I am, 5 years later, still doing it and having the time of my life working with these extraordinary young people. So we're going to play you a succession of little videos to sort of give you an idea of who, what we're talking about. And what I'd like to do is start with a very small excerpt from a documentary that was made by the SABC, which is the South Africa Broadcasting Company. And the name of the documentary is Compassion in Action. And our youth program had the last tiny segment of this documentary that was broadcast nationally, in which it showcased the youth program and the youth themselves, the purpose of what we're trying to achieve with these young people, and you'll get the chance to actually see some of them in action. So thank you, Sonia. We're hoping that all of the technology is going to work today, but we've lined it up, and I'd love to invite you to enjoy this little excerpt to get a taste of what I mean when I talk about the CTII Youth Interfaith Intercultural Program. Thank you, Sonia.
Jenny and Cecil are both part of the Cape Town Interfaith Initiative and present the Buddhist segment to learners participating in the organization's flagship youth program. The Marlene Silbert Youth Interfaith Intercultural Program is an extramural offering to schools within the Cape Town metropolitan area, and it's for grade 10 and grade 11 learners. These young people get together for 2 hours, and it's once a month. It's a chance for them to get out of the classroom, away from the desk. It's not a textbook experience, it's a real life engagement with the faith, the tradition, the sacred space, and a chance for them to talk, listen, ask questions, and have an experience of it, as well as just increasing their knowledge or their understanding.
There's not just the golden rule. There's the platinum rule. It's treat each other as they would want to be treated. So what's the shift? So they're not learning just the differences, but also the commonalities, especially when you're 15, 16. You're grappling with your own identity, but also your place in the world. This course normally finishes with a 3-day camp. And here is a golden opportunity for them to consolidate all these things that they've learned over the months. Compassion plays a very important part in this, because it's also, how do I use this knowledge? How do I show up? How do I integrate this? And a focus on compassion and action comes into the fore.
How do I have compassion? In my school community, through heart, head, and hand.
This program itself is, centered on that idea of being compassionate, of having compassion for the other, of, stepping out of our own bubbles of existence in order to connect to the realities of others, so that we can create equality, we can create justice, we can create enough space for everyone to feel welcome and safe.
With the interfaith camp, we had a workshop with Babs, and she taught us about compassion in action.
We thought that we could start a peace club and an interact club, where basically in the peace club we bring anyone. You don't have to sign up or anything. You just come and you bring a social or non-social issue that you have with your community, the school, anything in general.
It was really fun to do that with my group. Each school were required to do a poster where they basically describe their plans for creating a more compassionate school.
Because the social prejudice is stopping us from becoming one with each other.
My team and I, we decided to make individual posters to put around the Charter of Compassion in our school. So we decided to make posters that speak to us, posters that represent us and our different personalities, to show everyone that even if we aren't the same person, you can still have compassion for others, and we can still have empathy, and we can still be kind, because kindness goes a long way in the long run.
All right, so here's our charter, and what are we agreeing to?
We, the learners and teachers of our school, declared our shared commitment to the following principles and pledge to hold ourselves and one another responsible for achieving them.
We recognize that every person shares a common humanity capable of both happiness and suffering.
We recognize that we are a school with learners who have different abilities, body sizes, races, religions, languages, classes, gender identities, and sexual orientations.
We recognize that intolerance and hatred cause suffering, and that when we do nothing or laugh or post comments online, we allow the suffering and the evil deeds to continue.
Wow.
I never get tired of seeing it, and I always get quite emotional at the end. I hope you enjoyed that. It's good to see them. Those learners that you just have seen have just graduated from high school, and many of them are now entering their university studies and beyond. So I'm so proud of them. So this past December, which in South Africa is the end of the school year. So in South Africa, the academic year runs from January through the beginning or the middle of December. And so, and of course, that's summertime, the beginning of summertime. So this past summer break, we decided to gather together a handful of the learners who were free and available to join us. And we thought what we would like to do is create a very small video in which we could send out into the world to let people know what we're doing. And also, of course, for anyone who wanted to who was interested in supporting us in whatever way they wanted to. but most importantly, to allow them the chance to speak for themselves. So I'm going to share with you now this video, and it's a very short one, but everything that you're about to see and hear comes directly from them. And I do want to underscore one thing, and that is that none of this was scripted. We had a very short window of time, and I just said, all right, just share whatever is on your heart. Talk to us about what you've learned and gained from the program and how it's changed you as a person. And we'll just keep the cameras rolling, and we'll just capture whatever it is that you want to say. So I'm so proud of them, because as you're about to see, their ability to communicate and share their thoughts in what I think is a very eloquent way is quite remarkable. And you'll get a lovely snapshot into how this program is changing lives and opening minds and hearts, and hopefully creating the leaders and the change makers of our future. So I'm going to try to share it now. Bear with me one moment. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see this image. Sonia, is it okay? Can you see at your end?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful. And please let me know if you can't hear the sound. That should be a familiar sight to everybody. Of course, this is Table Mountain in Cape Town. Enjoy, everyone.
This program focuses on empowering young learners to actually come together and respect each other and learn more from each other. When we look at how our communities in Khayelitsha and the townships are structured, we don't get a lot of opportunities to learn about these things.
The highlight of this program would be Ubuntu and compassion. We are taught to empathize with people. We are taught to just be a group, be a team, unite with each other.
We're trying to build peace amongst everybody, and despite the diversities, the differences, cultures, religions, we all connect as one, and we're all trying to solve the same issue.
Back then I wasn't like very much in my faith. I was like dry, like very dry. And then when I joined Interfaith, I met like other spiritually led people, and then they like actually helped me build my faith, and I actually got baptized this year and stuff like that.
Before I entered the Interfaith, I saw my religion as the only correct religion, and there was nothing else. Like everybody else was wrong. You don't have to agree with everything they've said, but understand their perspectives. And I think that small detail, it will change everything. Because if we are open to hearing, that could impact everyone.
The program definitely made me feel like a young leader instead of like just a learner, because you guys definitely give us like the chance to voice out our opinions and stuff like that, whereas some organizations don't really give you like that chance. They would rather speak out for you instead of you speaking out for yourself.
It doesn't just teach you the theory of compassion, love, unity. It shows you how to do it. It shows you how to implement it, whether that is at school or your community at home.
I come from Hanover Park, a community in the Cape Flats. So many struggles: poverty, substance abuse, gang violence, and the list goes on and on and on. And what I love about this program is that we didn't just learn about, different religions. We learned about deeper things. We learned about the root causes of these big issues that we face today.
We need to raise a conscious youth, and when the youth has grown, they'll learn to just appreciate and protect other people that are
different from them.
It's a really interactive program. You get to meet other people. It's not really just learning, but it also is about self-development. You also develop yourself as an individual. Previously, I was a really shy person, and I think I really broke out of that shell, that thing that was holding me back.
I think interfaith should definitely continue, and it brings something to the table that school doesn't offer. If you stick to your clubs and societies at school, you won't get the same experience that you get from interfaith.
These 2 years have been incredible. I've managed to enter spaces I never thought I would have entered before.
It really made me think like, okay, I need to step out and actually help instead of just like observing behind doors.
At school, we did the sanitary drive, and it has definitely empowered me to give back to the community that has raised me to be the girl that I am today.
I'd like to take away this quote from, or the slogan rather, from the Junior Peace Council that we're about to embark on, and that is for the youth, by the youth, with the youth. The Junior Peace Council seeks to solve issues by recognizing the root causes and creating change that our communities want to see.
This empowered me to think in a different way, to see the world through new eyes, spiritual eyes. The Interfaith program, it is a platform for young people where we can now look at the issues at hand, and now let's get together. How do we have dialogue, meaningful dialogue, to break the barriers, to find the solutions, and to just work on that compassionate community, and how do we bring back those values that we were taught.
Well, thank you, Reverend Pippa. This is really, the first time you showed me this video, I was so blown away. And every time I watch it, every time I have the opportunity to view it, I am, yet again, something else breaks my heart open. And it's a video of brilliance and hope in a time where we don't see this much, especially in these United States, and I'm sure for much of the world. So we are going to have time later on in this gathering for you all to share your thoughts and feelings, and we have more to share. But one of the things, first of all, I want to thank you for both of these videos, for all the work you've done. And now I'd like to share a little bit of why Reverend Pippa and I, Pippa, feel free to unmute so you could chime in at any point as I'm sharing. But a little bit of why we chose to share this. Why is this important to UUCP? Well, this is important for a number of reasons, because primarily we are quite probably the only UU community in North America that has, in a way, a sister community in Cape Town, South Africa. And that sister community is Cape Town Interfaith. And in a way, it's an extension of our conviction in activism and in social justice that has been the core of UUCP since its inception. They're actually preparing the next generation of voices and activists of that part of the world. And when we see this happening in one place, we know it could be happening in others. It's the seeds that we hope to plant in this world. And Pippa shares that this is not about her. It's about us. This is not her work. It's our work that she is offering in behalf of us. And that's really important to Pippa to be clear on. And I hope I'm languaging it as clearly as your feelings, Pippa. This is something we could all be proud of, what we just witnessed. There's something we could, this is something we can engage in. And in a sense, after all these years of being a voice for the dignity of humanity, we get to leave this legacy. Not just in the United States, not just in New Jersey, but in a whole nother continent in this planet. It's a global legacy. And that is truly something that few UU congregations can actually share. And I do hope that we become a model for others in this way. May it be so, right? And this is especially being done in a country that has really, that humanity has been so victimized in. So it's even more powerful. It's even more powerful than if it was in another country in this world. So we see these young voices stand up for the true, inherent dignity of humanity, just as we Unitarians are called to. One of the things Reverend Pippa has done over these few years that I know, I would imagine, speaks to all of you, I know it says spoken to me, is that she shared her students in her events. And she shared her facilitators with us. The musicians, the lecturers, the teachers, the students, there's an endless pool of giving, of compassion, of wealth that we've been able to make ours and get to become connected in who we are. So I'm beyond grateful to see this happen. I'm beyond grateful to Pippa and to CTII and the other folks that have been. I don't know all of you, but I had the pleasure in my trip when I was visiting South Africa to meet Nick and I don't know if I met Zapata, but I had hoped to. There were just so many people that kind of passed through me as I was there. But in a way, they mirror us. And I want to say thank you to Reverend Pippa for this. And thank you to this congregation for being such an active supporter in this work. So I could either introduce the next video, but I think perhaps it might be nice if you did, Reverend Pippa. So I'll pass this on to you.
Yeah, thank you, Sonia. I do want to say, interesting you mentioned Nick's name. Nick actually wrote the music for that little video that we just saw. He's amongst his many talents, he's a professional musician. So we very much wanted Dr. Terry Colleton to join us today. Many of you are familiar with Terry because she has in the past been a regular attendee of our services. And of course, many of you also know her from the Stonewall Chorale, and they are doing their final rehearsals before their big performance this weekend. I think some of you are going to see it, which is very exciting. So she couldn't join us. She desperately wanted to be with us tonight. So what we did is we made a very brief conversation and recorded it, and we're going to share that recording with you in just a moment. But the reason I wanted Terry to speak this evening is because some of you may remember that she came out to South Africa to stay with me, and we got involved in a number of projects. And of course, one of those was she came and participated in one of our grade 10 sessions. And it had a huge impact on her, and she'll share that in what she is about to say now in the video. But I thought it was a lovely bridge between us as a community and for someone coming to visit and experiencing it and what that felt like for her. So thank you for sharing, Sonia, and enjoy this little snippet of a conversation. It'll be a little weird to watch myself talking in another time zone. That's very funny. But enjoy. The time and the effort to help us to create this little recording excerpt for our session on Thursday. And Terry, I want to put into context for everyone who's listening that I personally had the very great pleasure of you visiting here for 3 weeks in summertime USA, wintertime in South Africa in 2023, July and August. And you came for a number of reasons, and I think in meeting the youth involved in the youth program was sort of a beautiful side venture. So I think before we touch on that, I'd just love to ask you and to share with us all today what that journey to Africa meant to you, because you've been to Africa before, and perhaps you can share with us some of your own lessons and your own takeaways from your experiences here in South Africa.
I'm happy to do that. I think as part of my involvement with the youth program, I was able to go with Pippa to some of the very essential places that we can talk about a little bit more in detail, but there was so much about the history of the country that I did not know prior to my most recent visit. I had studied from apartheid forward, but I didn't understand the long history of colonialism and the multifaceted, multicultural experience that being South African is, because people were colonized from so many different locations across the globe. And I did not understand the deep roots of the desire to really obliterate the native languages and the cultures of the people that had been living on the continent forever. So I had a whole mindset experience that was academic and intellectual, and I did a lot of reading based on that. But I also had a profoundly spiritual experience of meeting people who had hope and faith and a vision for the future in spite of previous circumstances and current circumstances. And it was just such an honor to be in the country. And so I thank you for hosting me and inviting me and allowing me to participate.
100%. And you know that you're welcome back anytime that you want. So I think my next question is, when you did join us for the youth program, and of course we spent a lot of time in conversation before, during, and after your visit, what was your general sense of the youth program, its ethos, its vision, and what it hopes to do in the lives and the minds and hearts and spirits of these young people in Cape Town?
So I remember very clearly, Pippa, you explaining to me prior to my travel that the three framing questions were: who am I with my cultural history, my racial history, my socioeconomic background? Who are you in all of your fullness? And then who are we together? What are we able to do together? And I thought it was brilliant to actually be walking through the slave house. Do I have the right name?
Slave Lodge.
The Slave Lodge, with students who had come in their own school groups, and they were wearing school uniforms, so you could see very clearly their groups. And their process of starting to speak with each other, and they're looking at the displays and their conversations. It was sort of a scavenger hunt. They had to answer questions, and they had to work together to answer questions. And so I was able to start to see them working across the schools that they were in, which also included working across socioeconomic, religious, and racial divides or differences, I guess. And I remember standing at a number of exhibits, sort of struck. One of them was a map of the world, and then it was like all the slave ships and the journey of all the slave ships, and just kind of appalled and taken aback by how people were perceived to be able to be shipped, and having students sort of stand by and kind of making the same discoveries was just extremely impactful and profound.
Yes, and I think those people who are not familiar with Cape Town don't realize a number of things, including that the entire city, known as the Mother City, was built by slaves under the new Dutch colonizing regime. And the second thing they don't realize is that the indigenous peoples, primarily the Khoi and the San from the western side of South Africa, were themselves enslaved. So the original habitants became slaves on their own land. So it's a sorrowful and painful history, but you're absolutely right. It was a chance for us all to engage with it. So that leads me now to my next question, which was, after the slave lodge, we then walked literally across the street to the third oldest building in Cape Town from the mid 1650s, which was the Dutch Reformed Church. And there we met the minister, the current minister. His name is Rian de Villiers. And Rian is, as you will probably agree, a remarkable man in that he's leading his own church, which had been historically complicit in both slavery and propping up the apartheid system. And he's leading them through this process of acknowledging the past, wrestling and grappling with it, and then working actively towards reparation and restorative justice. So it's impressive, to say the least. And I'd love for you to share with us what that was like to sit with our young people inside the church and to listen to what Rian had to share.
I had so many emotions that day. I think a lot of people in the congregation know that I was raised Catholic and was actually a Catholic nun for 15 years. And my journey with organized religion since then has been complex, to say the least. And so I felt a great deal of hope that that religion and faith traditions could be reimagined to be change agents for good in that experience there. I also clearly remember Zabata speaking with the students about her own identity, and one of the students saying, well, you can't be Khoi. I don't know if you remember that, Pippa.
I do remember.
And Zabata was so non-defensively perfect in her response that what he'd been taught necessarily in the history books was not necessarily reflective of reality. And she gave the students a lot of personal information about what had happened to her people. And I actually could cry in the moment just remembering that experience. Yes, I think it was really, and this is an aside, but actually probably every bit as important. We had packed very simple sandwiches and fruit and the kids ate everything. And I come with that American mindset of our kids who throw away so much food, and just how respectfully they consumed a very simple meal together and appreciated it with joy, and not complaining that it wasn't their favorite cheese that we put on it or whatnot. So, yeah.
Now you're going to have me in tears, Terry.
Sorry.
No, that's
You're
okay.
you're doing good work, Pippa.
Dr. Terry, thank you so much. We love you, we appreciate you, and we thank you for your time, and even more for the sharing of your deep thoughts and sentiments. So thank you.
Sorry for that tech issue. That was a fabulous interview, Pippa. Pippa, would you like to share anything do you want to chime in on any thoughts now, or should I move on to the next part?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm so grateful that we were able to record that and have a little bit of Dr. Terry's input and her experience in South Africa. So we've had a lot to listen to this evening. We don't have to end exactly at 8 o'clock. I wanted to say that. But now that if you're all feeling like me, I am very moved. I've been moved by everything that we received this evening. And you may be curious how you could be involved, or how you could help, or what can you do. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to go through a couple of ideas that Reverend Pippa and I came up with. And here's a simple one, but many of you might be interested in this. You could consider being a pen pal, or having a relationship, a digital relationship, a digital connection, supporting one of these young people in part of the youth group and the youth interfaith, intercultural program. And imagine, you don't have to go all the way to the other side of the world to impact somebody's life. You could do it on your computer or your phone. Just imagine that. If you're interested in that in any capacity, feel free. You all have Reverend Pippa's information. Please reach out to her and see what you could do and how she could connect you. Oh, I see she's got Georgie. Hi, George. That's her cat. Second thought. Another idea that we came up with is the possibility of sponsoring one or more of the youth group students to come visit us here in New Jersey. Wouldn't that be amazing? It would be a great gift, certainly, to any of those young people, that to have an opportunity to come to the United States, even for a brief amount of time. And I'm sure it would be just as much of a gift to any of us, and all of us, actually, if anyone was interested in participating and co-creating some kind of situation like that. So let's I invite you all to marinate in that idea. A third is Reverend Pippa has invited Dr. Terry to come out and visit her and me, but she also would welcome all of you. Well, maybe one or two at a time, but if any of you had the means or the availability to go out and witness the youth interfaith intercultural program and the work that CTII is doing in South Africa, I'm inviting you on behalf of Reverend Pippa to explore that, and please reach out to Reverend Pippa if you would. And a final option, but one that is very valuable, especially at this time, and is one of the reasons I encourage Pippa to do this today, at this particular time, is that a major donor has offered to double any donations that have been offered to CTII between now and March 31st. That's just, I don't know, maybe, what's today? The 19th? Just about 10 days, 12 days. If anybody'd like to make a donation to CTII, I will place a link in the chat box. I'm going to do that in a second. I just wanted to say, when I read through all this and watched everything, I placed my donation this afternoon. And one of the things I thought was cool is you could dedicate your donation to someone. So I dedicated my donation to Al Starsky, because I knew Al would be the first one saying, let's be involved with this. And I feel very teary-eyed just talking about it. So I'm about to place a link into the chat box, and it'll be there for the rest of the evening. There'll also be an email that will be sent out after this service. It'll go to the whole listserv. So if you're not part of this listserv, please email me or Reverend Pippa, or place your name in our chat, and we'll make sure you get this email as well. And on this email will be a donation link and the video that we shared earlier of the young people that are part of the youth group, sharing their sincere personal feelings about humanity and the work that they're doing and collective compassion. So you'll have that. Feel free to share that with people. And I'm not saying just because of the donation. That video should be shared far and wide. If you have social media, email, whatever you have, please share that with people. People need to see that in a world that we are just struggling so deeply. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. I'll place this in the chat box now. And we will now open up our, I know it's a little later, but we don't have to jump off at 8 p.m. directly, do we? We're going to open up the chat right now, or the videos, if anybody would like to share a thought. Reverend Pippa, if you'd like to chime in behind me, please do. And this is your opportunity to share your questions, your comments, or any of your thoughts from this evening. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Sonia. I do want to say the fund that you mentioned just at the end there, Sonia, it's something that we stumbled upon in our fundraising efforts, because we don't get any support from any government or any institution. It's all just gifts and donations that help this work to happen. But we applied to a thing called the New Africa Fund, and as I understand it, out of 7,000 applications, we were one of the projects that was selected, and they're the ones who are saying, if you raise money, especially dollars, we will match it dollar for dollar. And as Sonia and Terry will tell you, what a dollar here, even $1 goes a long way. In the currency here in South Africa is rand. So that's thank you for mentioning that tonight, Sonia. We're very excited to have been given this amazing opportunity. But yes, open it up if anyone has any questions or comments. I and Sonia would love to hear anything that you want to share. Thank you.
Yes, yes, Reverend Sandra.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for this. I just, I had a long day today, and I was exhausted, and this has me just so filled. Watching this just made me genuinely happy and hopeful and just excited. And I thank you for that, because this is what our world needs. I was just moved by all this that invites us into this compassion, and that these students, we need to view the world through their curiosity and through their lens and their hope, because you can feel it, and we're all capable of doing this, and we all do it in our ways, but it's just, this need not be just a contained program, right? This is the model for how we all need to be viewing the world. So I'm just feeling so hopeful for the future leaders and what each of us takes away from this and where we go from here. So I just want to thank you for this. This was a beautiful, beautiful presentation, and I thank you both so deeply. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Sandra. Yes, I think we all share that same sentiment. Michael, please.
I was thinking as you were talking about what we could do about making it possible for additional students to join the program. So I had a question. Financially, what does it take to support another student? I mean, in terms of if we individually or as a group wanted to make a donation for that, how much would it be?
It's a great question, Michael, and the information that Sonia is going to send out later by email, and I think also in the link. We've estimated to take one learner through the entire program for the whole year, and that includes obviously food. They have snacks. For some of them, that's one of the biggest meals they have in the day. And transportation and resources, and we also like to give stipends to help some of the facilitators who help us. It costs $100 for the entire year for one learner, which in the scheme of things I think is not so big. And as I said, a US dollar goes a long way here. But that's January through December. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's a great question, Michael. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you also. I want to thank Michael for your question, Michael. And thank you, Pippa. Thank you, Sonia. Michael, I'm thanking you because I think, our congregation could easily come up with $100, for a student. So I think that's really a modest amount in terms of, U.S. Money. And it sounds like a great idea. I'm on board. I also want to say, Pippa, I was very struck by the words of one of the young people on the Junior Peace Council, see the world through spiritual eyes. That really, really moved me. To be able to really meditate on that and, think, what does it mean to see the world through spiritual eyes?
Mm.
And it just really grabbed me. And I just wanted to, say that. And also, Sandra, you touched on that too, that idea too of seeing the world. Yeah, just really wonderful. And the whole program, was definitely wonderful. The videos and seeing the young people, that's really just wonderful. And of course, Terry's reflections too.
Thank you, Arlene. The person who actually said those words, and again, remember, they were not scripted. We just had the cameras rolling and we asked them to share from their hearts. That was Aidan, the very last person that you see. And I think you might remember Aidan. I have brought him into a couple of services with me.
Yeah.
And Aidan has a particularly inspiring story, which I'll share very, very, very quickly. He lives in a particularly troubled and challenged area of Cape Town. Also, you probably heard Anushka, the young Muslim girl, sharing the same thing. Guns and gangs and drugs. And Aidan was actually walking out of where they live, him with his mother and his sister, and as they walked out onto the street, someone was gunned down right in front of them. Now, that would be enough trauma to, send you off into a tailspin. But the way that he has responded to it is that he thought to himself, what can I do to make a difference? And what he did was get together with some other people and create a foundation of young people his age. At this time, he was only 15, 16. And they created a little group and they went round from primary school to primary school to primary school in this particular area, telling the kids that you don't have to get sucked into this world, that there are other avenues, other opportunities, other chances, and don't think that this is the only way that your life can unfold.
Mm-hmm.
Remarkable to think that this 16-year-old young man experiencing that and turning it into compassion in action. And
Yeah.
I'm very happy to say, and so this is a proud mummy moment, but Aidan graduated from high school in December, and he really wants to study politics. He wants to be a change maker in the political world. The top university, the #1 university in the entire continent of Africa is called UCT, the University of Cape Town. They were so struck by him and his results that they not only have paid for his education, but they're also paying for his accommodation. So he's now living in residency at UCT, hoping to put his life into this particular direction. And I'm even prouder to say that in his the spare time that he has, he's coming on board to help me as a facilitator for the grade 11 program. So he wants to keep paying it forward. So he is, to my mind, he's not exceptional. He's just one example of how these young men and women are showing up in the world. And I'm so glad that it was him who struck you, Arlene, because he's a magnificent young man.
Yeah.
And he's the reason that people like him are the reason that I keep showing up and doing this work.
Yeah, thank you for sharing Aidan's story, Pippa. Thank you very much. Wow.
I think it might have been Aidan as well who said something. He used the words "becoming one with each other." I think he used those words. I think it was him. He also spoke about spiritual eyes.
Deborah.
Fantastic. Debbie.
Sawubona, we see you.
I just learned how to use that hand. I can't. Oh God, Pippa, you make me cry. I can't thank you enough for the program. I mean, we've seen the videos before, but in this world of anger and hate and demonization of people, it is so hopeful to see these young people. And I'm just really, really touched. And I have a suggestion maybe for another idea of something we might be able to do. I was thinking of, Terry's comment about how the students ate their simple meal and didn't complain. And if we could, unfortunately, we don't have a youth group at UUCP. Otherwise, I think that would be great. But if we could find, and I know Terry is connected to students, if we could have the students that you have in your group, if they could have pen pals to some of the students here. That's one thing. The other thing is, I'm thinking how much we need a program like this in the United States. Kids are listening to information that is horrible. And if we could have them listen to this more hopeful way of looking at the world, more peaceful, more spiritual, if we could get started with something here, it's so depressing here. And listening to kids, when my grandson was young, very young, we had a whole bunch of Christmas presents for him, a bunch. And he's tearing through them, and he said, that's it? That was the last Christmas present I bought for him. I mean, this ingratitude, and if they could see some people, kids from across the world, and the real trauma that they live with, and how, like Aiden, how they could come through it and turn it around. I would love to be, to be able to be part of that, and to have some groups here. So those were my thoughts. And the reason that I always cry when I hear Pippa is she shows us the possibility of a world the way it should be and the way it could be. And it's just I get very emotional. And so thank you, Pippa, and thank you, Sonia, for bringing this to us. And Sonia, thank you so much for dedicating your donation to Al's Philosophy. His birthday is next week, and I've been thinking a lot about him. And he would have loved this. So thank you so much for thinking about him.
Thank you, Debbie. And I do want to say here, there's many, many, many times, and I'm sure we all feel the same, things are unfolding both nationally and internationally. And often I find myself saying, not in my name, not in my name. But when I do this work in our name. And I really want to underscore that. And I thank you, Sonia, for starting off the evening by saying, this is not about me. I'm doing this work as an extension of our service, our showing up in the world. And I'm doing it in your name.
Thank you, Pippa. Pippa is one of my closest friends, besides being my colleague and my mentor and often my inspiration. She's been sharing this comment with me in our personal dialogues for a long time. I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this for UUCP. So I want you to know that this has been in her focus for a long time, and we really wanted to make sure that our congregation was very clear on what's going on and how it is an extension of us. So thank you very much, my dear friend and colleague, and thank you for continuing to inspire us to what good work could be done. And who knows, maybe we can bring this, maybe one day you'll move back to the States and create a youth interfaith program in the United States. Can you imagine that? What an action that would be.
Yeah, I'd love to bring some of them and we could do it together.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
Why not? Why not? That's how things begin, right?
I'll be your first volunteer. I'll be right behind you, helping. Beautiful work, Pippa. I'm speechless. Those kids, I mean, they said everything. Amazing.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Yes, they did. And the email that Sonia's going to post has this video inside it, so feel free to watch it again. I mean, like Sonia was saying, I can't tell you how many times I've watched it, and I keep thinking, gosh, something else jumps out at me of what they've said. So yeah, thank you for your beautiful feedback, Gabrielle.
If you like this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. Thank you.